to elect a new congressman in the 9th District will go on. Correct, Josh?
That's exactly right, Joe. To quote her specifically, she said the best thing is to send a message that we will not bend, that we will not shut down democratic exercises of government in the wake of this terrorist attack. As you just mentioned a short while ago, Acting Governor Swift, Attorney General Tom Riley, and a host of other state officials were here from the MEMA bunker to address the Commonwealth. Let's take a listen.
Let me just say, first and foremost, that I join with all Americans in being shocked and saddened with the events that have happened this morning to Massachusetts families and citizens who may have lost their life in these terrorist attacks. I am saddened, and I express my deepest sympathy to those families. We have taken all prudent and necessary steps in Massachusetts to make sure that the families of the Commonwealth are protected and that they're safe. We have not received any specific threats against any Massachusetts citizens or any Massachusetts places or structures, and we continue to feel confident and comfortable that the public and the citizens of Massachusetts are secure.
Now, the state is operating under a level 2 alert. What that means is that they're not taking any real action at this time, and what citizens can do is to be vigilant. Stay home, stay off the streets, follow what's happening on the news, but there is no impediment to your daily lives. As a matter of fact, Governor was asked yesterday, earlier this morning, I should say, whether or not official offices will be open tomorrow at this juncture in time. She plans on conducting business as usual tomorrow here in the state of Massachusetts. Now, she spoke earlier also with Governor Pataki's staff down in New York to offer any assistance. They did request some National Guard F-15s to be flown into New York airspace. That request was followed up on. They have also requested some assistance from a search and rescue team in Beverly. That team has been activated. Where exactly they will be sent, we do not know at this particular time. But the governor, as of this moment, is still here at MEMA headquarters in Framingham. We'll keep you apprised of any other situations as they occur. Joe, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Josh. We're now being told that the National Park Service has closed all monuments, including the USS Constitution and the Bunker Hill Monument here in the Boston area. Added security at the USS Constitution. Flags are being flown at half-staff now around the state. Nuclear power plants, including the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Plant down in Plymouth, we're told, are on high alert at this hour. Now, high-rises in Boston were evacuated earlier today when these terrorist acts became known, including the John Hancock, the Prudential, and other buildings in the downtown area. Mayor Menino sent home all non-essential state employees. He spoke earlier this morning. Let's listen and hear what he had to say.
It cuts the heart of all of us, and life in America has changed forever because of this incident that we've had this morning. And our prayers are with the families that were lost in this senseless incident. So I just ask everyone in our city to step back and say a little prayer for these individuals.
Obviously, the effect on everyone's psyche today has yet to be measured, but people throughout New England are very touched by what has happened here. There's a tremendous amount of sadness, a tremendous amount of shock. Schools, many schools in the area are closed, primarily colleges. As far as what we'd like to do is we'd like to go down to the Back Bay now, where I believe it is Robin Hamilton is standing by. Yes, Robin. What's going on there, Robin?
That's exactly right. Good afternoon, Joe. Well, the mood is extremely somber and very tense. Earlier this morning, members from the Prudential Center, they closed that building. They don't want to call it an evacuation because they don't want people to panic. They do want to say it was a voluntary closing. So people have been leaving that building since 9 o'clock this morning. The same was true for the Hancock buildings. All 6 buildings evacuated, 12,000 employees. Again, everyone is just under a very heightened state of tension after all of this. We had a chance to speak to some people earlier today, and we got their thoughts about this whole situation. Hundreds of employees made a mass exit from the Prudential Center minutes after the Twin Tower and Pentagon disasters.
I never thought until they talked about the Pentagon that we were in danger, kind of national problem. So just thought it was a local New York thing, and now we kind of realize it's a scary national thing again.
Just working in a big high-rise like this, I just can't imagine. I just wonder what's going on.
The property manager of the Prudential Center issued a voluntary evacuation shortly after 9 o'clock, but most employees felt they had no other choice but to leave.
And then we got confirmation on the radio, and we took it extremely seriously because we're hanging off the Prudential. And so we called everybody off of the building because we know it was a life-threatening situation.
Now, other buildings around the area have been closed as well. The streets are pretty much empty. There have been a few ambulances and squad cars going by. We're not exactly sure where they're going to, but people are trying to stay calm. But again, other buildings have been closed during this time. We have Ted Landsmark, who's the president of Boston Architectural Center. He was one of the people who encouraged people to leave as well. Just give us an idea of what was your procedure this morning.
Well, of course, it's been a very difficult morning because people are watching all of the news reports. They're listening to the radio reports. There's really not a lot of work that people can do at this point. People are trying to get through to friends in New York. Several of us have friends who work at the World Trade Center, and of course, we don't know what their condition is. And so we checked with the state and the city offices, and many of the colleges, such as the Boston Architectural Center, made the decision that it made more sense to close, to keep faculty and students out of town for today, to keep people off of the public transit, even though that's apparently been beefed up, and to really let people just reflect a little bit.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And again, the mood here is very somber. There is a police presence here. They are making sure traffic just flows easily and that people stay calm. But again, people are very tense at this point. Back to you, Joe.
All right, Robin, as we watch the videotape in the right-hand corner there of the plane actually hitting the World Trade Center this morning, I'm also told that the financial district in Boston is basically a ghost town at this hour. Employees have been told to go home, and they didn't have to be told twice. All off-duty Boston EMS personnel have been called into work. The local Red Cross is urging anybody who can donate blood to do so. The need is crucial. It is critical at this hour. Most of the blood they are trying to get down to New York to help people there. Also, TJX, a local company located in Framingham, is the parent company for Marshalls and TJ Maxx. The CEO gathered employees together there today to tell them that they believe as many as 7 employees of TJX were on the American Airlines flight this morning that crashed into the World Trade Center. We, of course, will stay on top of this developing story, exactly how it affects Boston and the state of Massachusetts. We'll bring you updates throughout the day. For now, let's go back to Dan Rather and CBS.
And if, in fact, the groups are found, and if it's bin Laden, I'm sure that the right retaliation will be swift. It will be forthcoming. But you don't want to have a knee-jerk reaction and find out that, in fact, at the end of the day, that you've retaliated against the wrong people. And so I think that clearly the focus right now has to be on what's going on here and in Washington, on the rescue efforts. And at the same time, there is a parallel track going on where they are looking, the FBI is going to be mobilizing massive resources to bring in here and into Washington. And they will be looking to try and track down the cowards that did this to our country.
Jerry Hauer of Kroll & Associates, the former commissioner of Mayor Giuliani's Office for Emergency Management here in New York. I hope you can stick around with us. Jerry, you've been very helpful, and I appreciate it. Quickly, Israel has closed its airspace to foreign carriers. Airlines in Europe have ordered flights bound for the U.S. to do U-turns and come back or find alternate landing points outside the United States. The European Union foreign ministers are to hold an emergency meeting on tomorrow. And we go to Mika Brzezinski, who is in Lower Manhattan. Mika?
Well, Dan, I'm with Larry Rosen. We're at PS 89, where his son goes to school. This school has been evacuated, and he's looking for his son. Larry is also looking for his daughter. She's 3 years old, and her babysitter. Larry, tell me exactly where they were, where your apartment is.
Well, I live in Gateway Plaza, which is directly across the street in Battery Park City. I was uptown. I was actually in the subways when I heard the explosion. I didn't think much of it, went uptown to a client's, and then heard the news. And
you went to your apartment. Did you get close, and what did you see?
Well, I went back to my apartment from uptown, and the windows were blown in, and there was soot all over. Barney doll was laying in the bed.
Is that your child's doll?
Yeah. I have a 3-year-old who was probably sleeping and a 7-year-old who is in the school that we're standing in right now.
Would they let you into your apartment?
they would not, but I was able to get in.
Is there a possibility they could be elsewhere?
I'm hopeful that they are elsewhere.
Okay. You're looking for your son, and I'm told that the children who are in this school have been taken to PS3 and PS41. The children in this school are all fine, according to the head custodian here. A lot of parents like you are coming and looking for the children. What did you want to say?
Tell my wife, Sherry, that I love her and I'm okay, and we'll get together and everything will be all right. I love you.
Larry Rosen, a father looking for his son, and I know you want to go now to the next schools, and those men over there through those doors can tell you where to go to find your son. Write down where they are. Okay, we'll find out for you. Ask the guys through the door. Can you help him, Mary? Dan, this is a story that's been repeated all morning here. Parents are coming, and they just want to see their kids when they hear of something like this happening literally 3 blocks from where their children were at school, a place that should be safe in their minds. It is, I think, a sense that you can only remotely imagine if you were a parent yourself. Dan, over to you now.
Mika Brzezinski in Lower New York. By the way, it was mentioned earlier that the border between the United States and Mexico was being closed, and it may have been mentioned at that time, if so erroneously, that the border with Canada was being closed. The border with the United States and Canada is the longest unguarded frontier in the world, and we're now told that the U.S.-Canadian border remains open. I underscore the word open in case there was any misunderstanding about that. Now, it's happened today. We've had, and I have in front of me just notes because such a confusing situation, the attack on the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center here in New York. The Pentagon hit, and there have been fatalities at the Pentagon. We're not sure how many, but the Defense Department has, after a while, acknowledged that there have been some fatalities and some injured at the Pentagon. Then at Somerset, Pennsylvania, that's in the Pittsburgh area, an air crash there. And then a mysterious air crash in and around the Camp David, Maryland retreat. The president was not there. You know, he was in Florida earlier. That latter one, the Camp David area crash of a plane reported by an FBI official earlier, remains a mystery at this moment. But that's what's been happening today. There's been, there's no getting around it, a tremendous loss of life at the World Trade Center on the tip of Manhattan. 50,000 people work in the Twin Towers and in the immediate surrounding area, and thousands of more people visit it. Authorities had been trying to evacuate those who work in the World Trade Center when the glass and steel skyscrapers, first one, then the other, came down with thunderous roars. That happened within about 90 minutes of first one plane hitting one tower and then another plane hitting another tower. Deborah Bryant, a CBS News employee, saw both explosions. She's back from the scene and with us now in the studio. Deborah, tell us what you saw.
Well, it was early this morning, and I was exercising, and I felt a huge wave of sound wave crash. It sounded like a supersonic, when planes go supersonic. And the building shook, and we had no idea what it was. And then there was a plume of smoke that went right up the World Trade Center, and then it started showering us with papers, debris, and not so much smoke. The second plane crash, we were standing at the window of our apartment and looking at the trade tower, and the plane went flying right into the side of it.
Did you see the aircraft?
Yes.
Tell me, describe the plane to me. Two-motored, two-engine, four-engine?
It was impossible to tell. It was so unusual to even see a plane that large.
You're looking out your apartment window.
Right.
And a large airplane is headed straight for the World Trade Center.
It had come around the back. We're on the east side of the street, so we didn't see the approach around the World Trade Tower, but we saw it as it smashed into the side.
What did you say to one another? What did you think?
We basically said we're getting out of here and ran downstairs. We couldn't get out the front door because of the smoke. By that time, the smoke was, it's like a very, very fine ash, and it was black outside. We couldn't see, and there was a lot of debris coming down. So we decided to go back in the building, sitting on the interior wall and wait, which we did until it cleared. And we tried to make our way out and around the corner to the East River where we could see some blue sky. And then we heard another loud crash, and I guess that's, it was my impression that there was a bomb. And then we saw the tower collapse as we were running down the block. And I ducked into a bank with a few other people from our building.
What a sight to see both those
Amazing.
towers collapse.